I think it's great that people share a common language around health. That's awesome. But where I think it gets a little sticky is when people knowing what they want to work on and how they want to work on it, and maybe having almost too much information that they're bringing into it. So how do you manage people's experience with you and the work that you do? How do you manage that with all of this information that they might have gotten about trauma or health or any of these things from outside sources?
In terms of overflow in me?
Yeah, like kind of like it would bang heads with the process or create contradictions within the work that you would do.
But maybe we could try to differentiate what is the nature of the question. Because look, on one side, there is an intensity of someone's trauma. And there is perhaps a whole set of personal troubles that an individual is bringing. And one thing is to actually have a sense of what the story may be all about. Do I have enough capacity to tolerate that and to welcome a person with everything they are bringing? That's one thing. Another thing is contradiction. Yeah, because someone can come to your practice and they may have a political agenda, which contradicts your political agenda. And that is a slightly different angle of approaching this question, because once you are integrated within yourself, you can welcome this person and establish a dialogue, knowing that they are not crossing your boundaries because you're good.
Can I give you an example from my world? So I work with a lot of senior leaders in many different industries. And of course, there's like so much philosophy about leadership and so many speakers and so many coaches. And I'm sure there's something out there for everyone. There's nothing wrong with having it. But what I'll come up against sometimes is people will have this kind of toolkit they've put together from like 50 different sources. And they've stitched together something that has tons of contradictions in it in itself. And when we get into our work, it's not a barrier, but it's extra. It's too much extra. And very recently I said to a client, you need to pick which direction you want to go with this, because I don't want to have to be in a position where you or I have to justify the ideas that we're talking about against the past 20 years of your career. So if the philosophy that you've got right now has been working for you, great, go with that. Find someone who works in that area and run with that. That's totally awesome. If you want to play in the space of newer ideas or different ideas, great, let's do that. But let's not create an attack, defend kind of scenario about how I can justify my work with you versus all these things you worked on for 20 years. And it's not that I find it frustrating or say like only the ideas I work are the only valid ones. It's that there's such people have so much access to material now that I find it can confuse a conversation rather than clarify a conversation. It's like the paradox of choice. Too much choice, too many ideas doesn't mean you've got cleaner thinking or more focused thinking. It can create a confusion and mistiness.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe there is also a beauty in having different personalities around, and a beauty which comes with being contradicted. Because if you know how to approach it well, you can also think about it as a stretch. You know, we're not here to only work with people we like. I actually think that challenging encounters are very often coming from those relationships who are on the other side of what I like. That is your stretch.
I like what you're saying. I really like what you're saying. I find myself, the further I am in my career, I don't want to say maybe I should say, my patience is shorter for people that I have to bring along too much.
Right.
In my body of work, I like when someone shows up ready to do the work rather than trying to pull them along into the work and earn it and get them there. but there's a lot of validity, not bullet, but, and there's a lot of validity to what you're saying. Maybe that's a good place where I can stretch myself, get back to, take back some patience.
But also, you know, on the other hand, you do have a choice. Mm-hmm. You do have a choice in how you want to create the environment for you. Your modality may be slightly different than my modality. I'm not going to say I'm accepting this, and that patient. And if you are bringing another type of psychological occurrence to my consulting room, I'm not going to work with you. Although that differentiation once happened in my personal growth and professional formation. When I became a mother, I was very conscious about the difficulty I came across when I was working with pedophiles. And that was this moment when I very consciously said to myself that I cannot do this work because there was too much entanglement and too much transference, which I found very difficult. So knowing what you can and what you want is also a key factor. You do have freedom to say, this is the avenue I'm not going to be exploring. There are other people to do it.